So, hello everybody. Thank you for coming. My name is Sérgio Moura. I'm an Android developer. I currently work at Filipe. Currently, I'm developing an Android library in SDK. I've been an application developer, and I'm going to talk about this context switching today. Okay. First of all, I want to thank our sponsors. So, it was house sponsored between Anfido and Moura. So, Anfido is an identity verification solution which helps over 1,300 businesses work out who they can trust in a digital world. On the other hand, Moura is a golf platform which offers accurate GPS distances for more than 40,000 courses worldwide, along with digital scorecards and the possibility to connect with all your golf players. Also, I want to thank Red Pixel for this nice work. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to present some tips on the development of Android libraries and also some situations where this kind of development differs from the standard application development. Okay, first of all, the first tip is that you should take care of your README. So, your README is the cover of your library. It's probably the first contact that a developer has with your library. It should clearly contain the library purpose, or in other words, what developers can win from using your library. Also, the README should detail your API. You should show some examples of code snippets and of how developers can take the maximum out of your library. And whenever your library deals with user interface, you should add like pictures and videos showing it in action. This way, developers can have an idea of what to expect without starting with the integration effort. Okay, also, you can forget about your changelog. So these points, they are a bit transversal across application and development. However, when you develop an app, you are writing these files for your own development team, which probably knows better what's going on in the project. But when you are developing the library, your target are other developers, which might need this project timeline to choose which version they want to be on. You should follow a versioning scheme. So your users, they deserve to know which kind of changes are included on the release. Just with a quick look to the version name, whether it is just a patch or whether it may break their compatibility is something that they should know just by looking at the version number. And from my experience, semantic versioning is a nice approach here. Also, you should update your changelog during the development. So any change, any addition, deletion, or fix should be added to your changelog during the development. Together with a tag that specifies whether this change is happening on code, which will be publicly accessed by developers or on internal code inside your library. Also, you should develop a sample app, which may be bundled with your library on the same as a module, or it can be stored in a private repository, in a separated repository. It's a way that developers can have hands-on with your work, and it should be updated as much as the library itself, for it to always showcase the latest functionality. Also, it should be like the minimal use case that your library can provide, because it can be used to take some very useful metrics that I will explain next. And the last tip here is not remove your public functions that developers might be using between versions. That would lead to the builds of many users of your Android library to break without previous advice. So the solution is to deprecate your methods, marking them as deprecated, and then define a roadmap of their removal in future versions. Also, when you deprecate a method, provide an alternative for that method, that alternative should be referred in your change class. Okay, so when you are developing a library, you are officially an API designer, and this means that you have to be careful about some aspects to be exposed to other developers. First, your API should be easy to use, even when developers skip your README. So to achieve this, all the classes, methods, and arguments names should be consistent, and they should explain themselves. Also, if you require a lot of configuration parameters in your library, and more than 3 or 4 parameters is already a lot, you should use the builder pattern to facilitate the integration. Also, when you develop a library, you have an idea of how it should be used, but you cannot be sure that every developer will assume it that way, or even if they will read your documentation. So you should enforce that usage if you can. One example is defining whether each of your methods arguments can be null or not. So this will save you a lot of issues during the library's code execution. Also, when this configuration part is finished, you should run validation methods over it, verifying some assumptions, and you should fail right at that moment accordingly if they don't verify. And once your library fails, it should clearly state the reason. Remember that you are working for other developers, which will prefer to have the failure reason on their stack traces instead of having some generic exception that gives no idea of what happened. Okay, so the second tip is that you should watch your dependencies. And as you probably know, or you may not know, Android has the well-known problem of 65k methods allowed in an application without using multidex. So once you exceed that limit, you will take into the hands of multidexing, which is not the end of the world, but as long as you can avoid it, it will be better. So when you develop a library, you are contributing with methods and possibly resources if you are through the Android library and not pure Java module. You are contributing with methods for applications that surely are worried about this problem. Many times, like the decision to use one library instead of another to provide the same functionality will fall into the one that is lighter, or the one that and load them into image views. The interface of images to perform possibly required rotations. So we could not use that method, but with a bit of researching and teamwork, we could develop our own solution, and this way remove the glide library and save around 2k methods. So it was really worth it. But anyway, I want to advise you to be careful when evaluating the effort and the complexity of these tasks, because you may end up developing the wrong solution, and in that case, you were trying to solve a problem and you create another problem. Okay, apart from keeping an eye on your dependencies list, you can also teach the developers who are integrating your library on how they can help you and help themselves making their applications leaner. So the following instructions should be added in your README file. First, Provart is a tool that helps the developers shrink their applications by removing unused code. It has its downsides, but with almost no effort, they can shrink their APK in thousands of methods. Also, if your library performs any kind of heavy image processing or heavy calculations, it probably deals with native code, which is code written in C or C++. And this code on Android needs to be compiled into binaries. And this compilation will depend on the target device CPU architecture. In Android, they are called ABIs, and application binary interface. For you to currently support all the common devices, you have to target at least 5 different APIs, which means that your code will have to be compiled 5 times and included in your library 5 times, one for each API. Just for you to have an idea, the library I'm currently working on, once it had to deal with native code, it turned like 10 times bigger. Not in terms of method count, but in terms of disk size. But however, through Gradle, as you can see on the second snippet, application developers can perform multi-APK split by API, which will basically generate one APK per API, and only that specific API will be installed on the end device, depending on its own API. Even if your library bundles all the 5 binaries for the 5 APIs, the final application will only suffer the impact of one. But these are instructions that will have to be on the host application Gradle configuration. So you should include it in your README for other developers to be aware of this and to not suffer 5 times the impact. Okay, so for you to stay on top of your library impact on other applications, these are 2 crucial metrics: the method count and the APK size that you should always track. So for the next method count, you have this plugin that you can integrate in your app. In this case, you should integrate it in your sample app, which is a minimal use case of your SDK, so you can measure it from there, which outputs the method count on every APK assembled. And also, regarding the sample app APK size, you can develop a simple bash script to output its size, and you should keep that script in your project. One thing I like to do is adding the absolute next method count and the difference for the base branch every time I issue a pull request. Again, this can be made through a bit of scripting and command line Gradle, so it's not difficult. Here we have an example. So I open the pull request, and once it gets merged, it will add 3 methods to the base branch, which means 0.01% of its current method count. So it's a nice way for you to keep always track of how much it will impact in your current work. Also, if you use CI, and you should, that's another place where you can run these scripts and start this information. Again, keep in mind that as a library developer, more than any other developers, you have to worry about the impact of your choices on other applications. And keeping a lean library shows that you care about your code and that you care about your clients' applications. Okay, so now let's imagine that we have an optional feature in your library, which a developer must decide whether to use it or not while integrating it on his application. So let's think of, for example, an analytics product which takes metrics of your library usage, but only if the host application developer allows it to, through some configuration method where he specifies whether he wants it or not. So, and imagine this feature requires a third-party dependency to be included in your library in case he decides to use it. Well, it wouldn't be fair for other developers that don't want this feature to keep all the analytics dependency classes inside this application. But this is a solution that you should consider in these cases. So through the keyword provided for all the versions of Gradle, or compile only for since 2.12, you can get rid of these dependencies on compile time. This allows you to use them while you are coding without impacting your binary size. So apart from this, you should inform your developers through your README file that if they want to use the feature, they have to provide this dependency themselves. But finally, you need a way to check in your runtime whether the dependency was granted to you or not. So to achieve that, you can look up for some classes that you know are part of the library, on that code snippet on the right, and executing your code if they are there, or having some kind of fallback if they are not. But just a side note on this, this only works for pure Java libraries and not Android libraries that you have as a dependency. You can only make this when you are adding pure Java libraries as a dependency. Some examples are network clients, logging libraries, or heavy dependencies like JSON. They are pure Java libraries, so you can do this. Okay. Now I'm going to present some cases where library development differs from application development. They are simple examples that you often think just simply can't go wrong. Okay, so whenever you define a resource in your XML files, you should always try to identify your resources, which is in practice adding a prefix to the resource's name, reducing this way the probability that the whole application developer defines a resource with the same name. Because, for example, if you define a color named just green with some kind of green tone, and then the application developer goes and defines a color named green but with a different tone, it will override your color on the host application. So when the dependencies are merged into the application, so your color will be gone and will be replaced by the one defined on the application. And this applies to all kinds of resources that you may define on an XML file, like strings, colors, dimensions, styles, drawables, so everything you can imagine. So you should always add a prefix when you are developing the library. And also, Android Studio has a nice tool to automatically add prefixes to your resources, so you should use it. Okay, another tip is to make use of the build config fields that allow you to use resources from your Gradle configuration file in runtime through the build config class that is Java class automatically generated on compile time. So common usages of the build config fields are injecting the current build flavor or the time when your build was made, but the most interesting one for me is the version code in the version name of your library that you may want to use in development, and it's the most interesting. As you know, or maybe not, but you can access this information through the context object. So if you rely on this object to fetch your version name or version code, you will have a little surprise once your code gets built as an application dependency. When this code is run, even if in the context of your library, the final output will be the host application's version name and not your own version name. So that's a bit tricky. So build config fields are always a better choice here, and they are already included in your default config block in your Gradle config file. So you just have to go there, make sure you call the right build config class, the one that targets your package, and you can access the right information. Okay, so putting it all together, library development can be pretty challenging because libraries can't just work. They have to be dev-friendly. They have to be desirable to developers with the lowest possible integration effort and well documented. Also, you have to remember that you have to keep always maintaining two modules, your sample lab and your library. And your sample lab is as important as your library, and they should stay side by side in terms of updates. Also, as we have seen, there are some features from the Android framework that don't work the same way when we are talking about application development and library development. And I showed some of them and some tips on how to overcome. Okay, and this said, efficient library development can be even more challenging due to the fact that you have to be extra careful about your dependencies and when to add dependencies to your library, and also some optimizations that can be made, like making these dependencies optional when possible. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for coming. This is a QR code for you to join our Lisbon Android community. So if you are not on our Slack channel, you can scan this and you will be invited. So, okay, questions?
So what does your library do?
My library performs captures of documents, and then these documents are uploaded on the Onfido backend, and they can be used to perform checks on people, like background checks. It's just an input capture, like capturing documents, uploading them, and yeah.
That's why you have to deal with the UI also.
Yeah, it has to do with UI because you define a flow of steps. For example, you can be a business that only requires a document capture and not a face capture, and you have to configure all these steps. And we have two activities. One activity where you follow the flow, like you are just advancing through your flow, and then we have an activity to capture the documents. So an activity that deals with the camera, some overlay for you to place your document, and for you to verify the document quality, and yeah, so that's it.
Are you dealing with the camera APIs directly or not?
Yeah, directly.
And how's the experience?
It's pretty bad because we are still dealing with the API v1. We want to upgrade to API v2 or maybe use some wrapper. Yeah, it's in our plans, but yeah, the API, the camera API v1 is the mess.
I didn't see the entire presentation, but since you said that you have views in your library, I wonder how do you deal with customization, and how could you separate your business logic from the view? Because in the best case scenario, I think you should have maybe two different libraries or two different modules. One with the view, so if the guy wants to have a built-in view ready to use, and one just with the business logic to actually scan stuff.
Yeah, I guess it's regarding that, it's like in an application. Like you are saying about separating the view from the business logic, right?
Yeah, because maybe the guy wants to have a different view, right? Or maybe the one.
No, but all they can do is like having some customization on the view, like the colors or something. But the view itself, it's ours. It's our activity, and it's like we did it that way, and there is no. You cannot change the view. You can only change the colors of the view because we can go fetch the theme parameters, like the color primary dark, and it will be a better user experience. You see our activity with the colors of your application, but that's it. The view hierarchy is all ours.
Do you find yourself deprecating a lot of methods, or doesn't happen that much?
Yeah, because we are still behind 1.0.0, so we are still messing around, and we deprecate some things a lot still. Some methods that are just experimental, and then we decide, okay, this is just removed. But yeah, it's getting stable, but it's still way to go. So yeah, I often deprecate some methods, like not from release, but from, I don't know.
Do customers complain about that, or because you have customers using that library already?
Yeah, we have customers using that, but if you write a nice changelog, and we also have very direct support to our customers. We talk to them through Slack channels, and once you have direct support, they can easily reach you and text, oh, what happened to this method? Oh, is this going to be removed? And also, if in your changelog, if you provide an alternative, okay, this method is deprecated, you should now use this one. This one will be deprecated by this date. Something. I think that's the better way.
So, quick question. Like having those constraints in mind while building a library, and they are that, just constraints, sizes, and taking care of what you can and cannot do. Does that have the flip side of it, which is kind of making you be more creative, like to kind of circumvent those issues?
Yeah, that's an example. The example I gave there when we were using a library, which is an image loading library, which every application uses. Like, okay, we need to load images. Okay, just get an image loading library, which comes with 3,000 methods, and your limit is 65,000 methods. So we're using that just to load the images coming from the camera in byte arrays to load them into the views. But we knew that with some we could replace that library with like some 3 methods that we built. We had to perform all the required image scaling, all the required rotations, because there are mobile phones that take pictures with the EXIF interface like horizontal or whether it's vertical. So we had to perform like a bit of work on that. But yeah, in the end, it was really worth it. But yeah, you have to be more creative, and you have to always think, okay, can I do this myself or not? There are things that are worth it, others that are not. For example, network client. A network client is something that is hard for you to do yourself.
Share an open source library project that you think that there we can find all the best practice you are talking about, and we can follow as
are you an Android developer? Or what do you use as a network client? Okay, HTTP. Yeah. Or do you use Retrofit? Yeah. Okay. So Retrofit is a good example. Yeah. So they make pretty much all that I explained here. Also, Realm has some nice blog posts that give some tips that I included 1 or 2 from them here. So they have some nice tips too.
I was afraid you were going to say that Helm is a good example of a well-designed library.
No,
No,
not the
not at
well-designed
all,
library.
not at all.
Just yeah, they have a nice readme, but yeah, the library itself is not so well designed.
Just curiosity, what's the mandatory libraries you use? I guess Retrofit is one of them.
Yeah, I use in my library. Then we have another library that is our API client. It's separated. It's a different library that we include as a dependency because it can be a pure Java module. And on that library we have the dependency of Retrofit, OKHTTP, all of that, logging features. But on the main library I have Kotlin. Then we have some testing libraries. Let me think. I don't think we have like a lot more, but
Not sure what's the code.
no. It's better. We have Xpanel to take metrics as an optional dependency, as I said. And then we have the support dependencies, and test end we have data. Yeah.
So,
We still don't have RxJava.
but that's the choice you have to make, right? Using Dagger, because you are increasing the methods.
Yeah, but Dagger is
It's
pretty.
an advantage maybe.
Yeah,
Because
Dagger.
it's speed up developing.
To me, the Dagger is pretty light compared to its functionality. Like, it's really cool to use. I like to use Dagger, and it's a lighter library. While RxJava, I really like to use it, but it's a heavy library. It has like 5K methods. So I'll have to wait until I can introduce them
But,
to my team. Like, oh, can we use this? Also, they will feed me.
Yeah.
but Dagger for a library, man. I think maybe you went for that because of your views, right? Because
No, but we have you and we have presenters. So yeah, I also use library to inject my.
yeah, sure. Well,
It's like in terms of coding inside the library, I try to follow the same standards that I followed on application development. Yeah, it's just a choice. I don't say that it is really required, and probably I still don't have like 2 presenters on the library because I only have 2 activities also. But yeah, I think it helps, and it's not that that heavy, and ProGuard can still shrink it a lot. So in the end, it's like I don't know, maybe 50 minutes that it takes.
Cool.
Well, all this in English. That's, I don't know if everybody, if all of you know what Pixel Scamp is. Does anybody here that doesn't know what Pixel Scamp is? Pixel Scamp. No? Well, Pixel Scamp is kind of the largest technology event in Portugal. It's an error from an event with another name in a past life. This year will be the 2nd edition with the Pixel Scamp name. It will happen in the last 3 days of September, 28th, 29th, and 30th. We are taking applications to attend the event. We're going to have over 1,000 seats. We're in the middle of a call for talk, so if any of you wants to go on stage and share your knowledge with a large audience, you're welcome to propose a talk. It can be on any subject, as long as it fits the event, technology. So I guess that's about it. The site is pixels.camp. You can go there and apply and propose a talk, and hopefully join us in late September in Pavilhão Carlos Lopes. Okay? Thank you.
Ok, eu vou também falar em inglês. Há uma desvantagem, porque assim não digo palavrões. Mas, sim, ok. I'll switch to English now. Thank you so much for staying after having dinner, okay? Because now you have no excuse, I need to stay a few more minutes because they are going to have some pizzas. Unless you are too drunk now you're awake? Okay, you are still awake. So, and this is not working. So, this is not working. Why? Because I need to click here. Okay. My name is Filipe Barroso. I'm a Google Developer Group organizer. I'm here with the sneaky one, Filipe. He's also a GDD organizer. The content of my talk was kindly offered by Google, so these slides and contents were given to us as organizers to spread out Firebase view. But before we really start, who here have ever heard of Firebase? Cool. Who here has developed? Keep our hands up. Come on. Yeah. More. Don't be shy. We are screaming. Okay. So who here develops something in Firebase? Keep your hands up. Okay. Who here has something in production with Firebase? Okay. So it's only 2 guys. So and with you 2 guys, how many functionalities do you use? Do you use more than 5? 2. Only 1. Maybe analytics. Yeah. So Firebase, what is Firebase? Firebase was bought by Google in October 2014. And you're here now to keep you guys awake. You have this website, voice CD Lisbon. It's just a small website where you can, if you just say, oh, I'm sad, I'm in love, during the talk, okay, I'm recording this and I will then see if you like this or not, if you like the talk, okay, I'll pinpoint and see what part of the talk you enjoy more or the part you...
XYZ is a top level domain.
Yeah. So yeah, we are like hipsters, you know, XYZ. It's not ABC, and luckily because I have to say it. But that's just to start, okay, please use it. And again, I need to click here. Cool. Firebase. What is Firebase? Firebase is a framework began by another company bought by Google, and is to help developers grow and develop functionalities into your app more easily, okay? We all know the times before retrofits with a sync task, we all know those kind of... Now we live in an era full of amazing Square libraries, and people with time, like Sérgio gave to our developers good frameworks. Libraries, Firebase is one of them. So there are currently 16 functionalities for Firebase you can integrate, and they are divided by categories, you can say, okay? Develop. These five highlighted are to help developers mainly. These three highlighted are more to make a monitor about your health state of your app. And then you have 8 focused on growing and expanding your target audience, okay? And also make some money out of it if you're able to, and I hope you are able to. So these are the 16 functionalities you can integrate using Firebase. And one thing I need to also tell you about is Google is making a transition into Firebase, okay? Analytics is through Firebase. Notifications is now through Firebase. So you like it or not, you will have to use it in a way or another, Firebase. And it's quite annoying because now new projects, people with marketing and not non-techy ones, they will start not seeing the analytics like they were used to in Google Analytics, but they will start using and seeing the Firebase Analytics when it's regarding mobile. You can approach me if you want to know more afterwards. So, as you can see, it's really pretty slides. It was impossible for me to make these slides so pretty. And Firebase can be used in 5 different languages, technologies, okay? Web, C++, and Unity. Any game developer here? Mobile? No? Cool. So, and it's all integrated, so you have 16 functionalities, but all of them integrate with each other. And in the center you have analytics. I will explain a bit more. And I will go through really fast by each one of the 16 functionalities. And if you see I'm saying some bullshit things, just like, for example, Firebase is Apple framework. Okay, so that means I can say as much bullshit I want, it won't stop me. Such like, I don't want to. So let's start. Getting started with Firebase is quite simple. You go to firebase.com and you log in quite easily, and you get your first impression is going to be this page. You start by clicking in one of the 3 buttons over there, Firebase Android, iOS, or web, and you get to see easy steps go through or to start the Firebase project. Okay. This is an iOS. Any iOS developers here? No? Not even native? Okay, it doesn't matter. Because I will have asked you to leave, but never mind. iOS, you can integrate Firebase with iOS. A banal idea, I think it's something shitty, trying to compare package name. So yada, doesn't matter, next. And you get your first app on Firebase. You can integrate many other apps. You can see iOS, Android, web, or different kind of iOS, you can have the dev app, you can have the you can have many of the same gender, iOS and Android. So analytics. Analytics is the main core and the main center of all other functionalities. As you all know, it's really pretty. You can see it in real time finally on Firebase. You have this stream view, but for me, more interesting is the debug view. Okay, you just have to activate the debug view on your Android console. You know, with ADB, you activate the debug view, and you can see in real time the analytics, the events getting pushed. It's really helpful if you are building and really helpful. And yeah, most of the Firebase functionalities are free, completely free, just like analytics and push notification and all. But some of them will have a limit, and after the limit you pay well. You can easily integrate, with that said, you can easily integrate your analytics into BigQuery. Do you know what BigQuery is? Okay, doesn't matter. It's good. If you are interested in BigQuery, talk to me afterwards. Let's go on. Like I said, you can have multiple apps side by side in the same Firebase project. As you can see, you have 2 Android apps and 2 iOS. And then the analytics dashboard is really simple. It's like you can take a nice screenshot and send it to your manager. Doesn't matter. And these are the custom events. You can quickly, screenshots. I don't want to go really into this. Funnels. This is a pain in the ass to integrate. Once again, talk with me if you are interested in going through a flow of if the person saw all the tutorial. I don't know why people want tutorials in the apps, but nevertheless. Or go through the login, the register steps. You can use funnels. I'm really mad about funnels in Firebase because it was way easier in Google Analytics to integrate this. But now we lost some functionalities with Firebase that only now we are gaining again as an Android developer. It's a process, a working process. Developing your app. Now this is our area now, okay? This is where if you want to build an app, a prototype really fast in a weekend or so, okay? If you use Firebase, you can integrate and build it quite easily, okay? With a principle, with like MVP, a minimal viable product. So with this said, real-time database. The real-time database is, if you ask me, okay, what does Google uses behind as a core mechanic for a real-time database? I don't know. They don't say. Okay, but it's a JSON type database, no SQL database. It takes care for you the synchronization in all devices, the offline communication. You can still push information to the database that it will record and cache it for you. And it's really easy to maintain all the apps, iOS, Android, web, all in synchronized.
Can I just ask something? Is it possible for us to have the same database access to iOS, Android, and Unity?
Yes. You can have. Maybe that's a bad idea, a really bad idea to have that synchronized. But it's really.
It's not a question of synchronization, it's a question of repository. For example, to have the same data available for all that applications.
For sure. It's just that I say this with because you can quite easily pull weight. I don't know. I don't remember the English word. If you are not careful in abstracting the way you access the Firebase and use the Firebase real time, okay, after a while you end up with the spaghetti codes, and you need really to be careful how to use the real time database. People use it mostly like a normal database to submit and get, but you take more advantage of it when you use it with real real-time in focus use case. But it's just an overview. Yeah, it's synchronized easily with all the devices. It doesn't matter where it is or not. And it works offline. It's really interesting. This part is really interesting. You can just keep on posting things and it will turn off the Wi-Fi. When it comes back online, it will upload everything. Okay? Yeah. So Firebase, in my opinion, it's the easy way you can integrate. You can just use the Firebase for this functionality or the previous one. Okay? You can use every functionality independent from one another. And Firebase, it's the easiest way to integrate authentication in any app. Okay? You have all kinds, and now it's not here. Yeah, the phone number, even with phone number, it's really easy to integrate the authentication here with Firebase. So, functions. Functions is one of the new functionalities in Firebase. For those who know, it's like Lambda for Amazon, Lambda functions. No? Basically, it's a really high-level event trigger by event functions. Just like imagine there's a new value in the real-time database. You can catch the event and do something with that information. For example, even with authentication, someone by the first time registered in your app, you can catch that event and send a notification immediately after. Welcome to my app. It's really powerful, so just be careful, it's still in beta, don't use it in production still. More, hosting. You can have in Firebase simple web apps, okay? It's just like the voice I show you, the voice for the GDG this one, XYZ. It's hosted on Firebase, okay? And the main advantages are they give you HTTPS and certificate by free, it's free. They give you also the possibility of using your own custom domains and free, all of that free. Hosted and easily deployed on Firebase platform. More storage. You can send also information to upload files directly from the platform or using your device or web, uploading pictures and downloading pictures. You can use it wherever you want. It's really easy to integrate. Just be careful from the limits and of download and uploads. You have a certain limit, really generous limit, but you can go through it really easily. More. This was the developer part. Okay. I went through really fast. I want to talk about the other ones, but these 5. Okay, you can use it independently from one another, but when you integrate them all in the same app, okay, with analytics and all, you can make amazing prototypes or even good web apps with this, okay? Of course, there's always an alternative for each functionality. Like I said about cloud functions, there's Lambda functions. Even the Google Cloud Platform, they have functions also, you can integrate, but it's a gateway to this Firebase Cloud Functions. It's a gateway from these functionalities to outside the platform and framework. So it's a matter of how you want to use these functionalities. Of course, you can use a different kind of real-time database, but then use the other functionalities, hosting notification of Firebase. So it's really powerful when you look at this way, okay? But talking about crash, test labs, and performance. For those who know, Firebase bought Fabric. Who here uses Fabric from Twitter? Yeah. So the team Fabric got absorbed to Firebase. So now we get more and more functionalities, new functionalities in Firebase. Even in production, I use Fabric in production, but then small analytics of Firebase. But now I'm transitioning to everything using in Firebase. So you have Cache Analytics, Test Lab, and Performance. These two down here, Test Lab and Performance, are one of the newest ones. Okay. And what we have here, reporting, just easily integration, point and click, and let me show you some examples. Like here, we get the list, number of errors, and Firebase and Fabric. No. Performance monitor. I haven't used this in production still, okay? But you can see its track of memory of your app, and get a nice report of the state of your devices, of people using your devices, and as easily as this, doing this, okay? You just call the singleton, give it a name, and then my trace stop. As you can see, if you don't make a good abstraction of these codes, you can end up with you can lose trace of every trace. So careful with that. But it's really interesting, the results. With just this, you can get nice reports of all the state of your app. More Tesla for Android. Who here does instrumental tests on your app? No? Yeah, 2 guys. So, 3. Good. So, using your instrumental tests, UI testing, you can send it to desktop, your app. You can send your app to desktop, and it will run through various devices. Okay, I don't know where you guys work, you said, but my company doesn't have money to have 100 devices to test out the UI, okay, to run the tests. We have 3 different kinds, plus the personal one. Normally we send an email, guys, lend us your cell phones, we promise we won't see any pictures, and pinky promise. But still, with this, you have your tests on code tests, everything, you send it to the test labs, you run through various type of devices, and careful, the limit is more strict, okay, here. And it will run all the app, take some screenshots and get some nice feedback, okay. Of course, there are other platforms that do this kind of tests. It's just a matter of, this way you have everything integrated under Firebase. Logs also, of course. And this back to the crash. I cannot remember, but when you offstate codes, okay, on Fabric, you see all the codes, all the logs offstated, right? You cannot see which class crashed. You cannot see the log trace all pretty. You see it's offstated and everything. With the crash analytics of Firebase, you can just upload the mapping.txt. I don't know if you use firmware. You can just upload the mappings.txt, and you can see the logs also already obfuscated. It's obfuscated. And it's really it's helpful. So, who here made money with your own personal app? You made money, you made money with your personal app? So, did you pay dinner for someone? Oh my God, you have a successful, congratulations. Of course, never mind. But it's really hard to grow your business or your app that you build on the weekends. So Firebase comes and help us growing our business with 8 different ways. Okay, cloud messaging. Don't be confused by notification. Okay, this is just communication between the framework and your devices. Send information just like percentage, where to whom, how many saw the notification and everything. It's more of kind of pops up. No, okay, never mind. So you can just simply send information to your apps easily with not with notification. It's just okay. In the Android Studio, you press, you install the notification, and you can immediately send segmented to whom, when, and which app, audience, and then I'll go through the audience in a while, in a bit. And you have a lot of options here. Okay, you can send it just a small notification, text notification. But if you have analytics, if you have a remote config, I'll speak about it in a bit. You can make a target segmented audience for your notification and when. You can send, for example, you can send a notification to the most 10% most active users of your app and send them a promotion, $5 promotion. Okay, it's really powerful. I encourage you to look into notification and with analytics with the Firebase. Okay, this is the conversion rates. You can see the result of who opened the link and who went through all the steps of receiving the notification, opening the notification. And now the app indexing. App indexing is quite powerful and that's controversial around this because you can, you add app indexing to your app. Where's kitty cat? Okay, kitten app. Kit cupcake. When someone searches for your something similar in your device, Google Chrome, mobile, they can see your app on the first. It's just like this. They will press it. They can open if they have the app. They will open immediately your app. Okay, and you can configure it to open on a certain screen. It's really interesting. Or even they are searching and can find your app there and can open it and install it afterwards. That's maybe tricky because I've seen it showing up other apps and I can install it, but they are turning off your functionality. It's really crazy. Google is crazy and turning off functionalities. Crazy. But it's really interesting when they just search for an app and it shows up on the search results, your app, and they can open it. More. Remote config. Who knows A/B testing? A/B testing. Yeah, cool. You can use remote config as an A/B testing platform. Okay. Remote config means you can have everyone that clicked more times on green, who love the app, is a certain audience. People who press on the smiley face is a second audience. And the third one, they like the app, small one. So you can, with remote config, you can target different views or even shows different functionalities to ones who love the app. Okay? You can organize your app with remote config and show different functionalities automatically with remote config. Or you even can, you have a weekly cycle of publishing your app. Okay, it's on Thursday, but the client wants to, from Monday to Wednesday, to show a banner, a special banner because it's the anniversary of someone. You can organize it with remote config, and without uploading again the APK to the store, to the Play Store, or even the iOS, or even deploying the web app. Okay, you can just activate remote config on Monday. It will show up the banner of happy birthday, whatever. Wednesday you turn off, and then you didn't have to upload again the APK. It's really powerful, and together with analytics, you can make this automatically. Okay, you can have these green ones are the percentage of audience that press more. So let's give them automatically with cloud functions a voucher of $5. Imagine, I just spoke about 3 functionalities of Firebase, all in once. It's just one idea. This is the screen with the different colors. It's just to differentiate. You can have remote config to identify the iOS users, like kill them all. It's a good device. You can have the top 10% of random people. Canadian pushes because they want to eat more hot dogs, so you send more information about hot dogs to them. And EU. I don't know.
Australia.
Australia.
EU, it's Australia.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so with, for example, with these users, you can invert the screen so that you can. Okay, it's bad. Never mind. Yeah, these are the parameters. As you can see, I don't want. If you want to know more how to configure this, talk with me. Okay, I just want to show you around the functionalities. Dynamic links. Okay, this is once again. Hey man, it's a common problem. I want to send a SMS with a link, and I don't know if the person is iOS, Android, if they have the app or not. I just want to send one link, and the person will decide. With dynamic links, you get that figured out. As soon as the person clicks it, and you don't need to develop. Bet some of us had to develop that with a web app and develop that. This is like you have one link, and if the person is on iOS and has the app, it will open the app. If it doesn't have the app, you can send them to the iOS store, App Store, and it's so powerful, really powerful. And all the dynamic links, as a matter, I want to show you. I didn't have this, but it's dynamic, really powerful. I cannot remember another company, another platform that does this. Only focus on dynamic links. Firebase devices, Firebase invites. How can I explain this? Imagine that, okay, you want to invite someone to use your app. You have a game app. You want to invite your friend to play, but you want to use kind of referral code. Okay, you can use Firebase Invite to send them that link. Okay, dynamic links can have information attached to it, because you can open a certain screen of your app through dynamic link. But with Firebase Invite, you get that more figured out for you. You can just simply, okay, you can share a link to invite your friends through many platforms with a certain code. The person clicks on the code, and here it is. Receives the text message with one link to the Bingo Blast app. And the person, instead of having to open this is an example. Receives the text message with a link. Beforehand, we needed to open the website, and then only after the website we click on Google Play or App Store. It's the most common thing to do. Okay, the person decides, but and then it goes to the Play Store and it plays the game. But the difference with Google Invites, Google Firebase Invites, is okay. You have this URL. The person that clicks, you get to know. Does it work? It didn't work. Okay. It will detect that it doesn't have the app installed on the back end. It will open the page immediately for iOS on the App Store. The person can just click and install the app and play. Okay. They don't need to go through to the website and then click on the link to download, whatever. Just follow. If this was Android, it will detect that you didn't have the app installed. Open the Play Store, person could download it and play the game. And yeah, channel. With this information, it's like, and the invitee, the one who invited, it's like a challenge, and it gets the information, and you can adapt your app as soon as it opens. Thank you for accepting the invite of this person. Here's 100 points, and you can challenge. So, user acquisition in Firebase. You get really a nice overview of AdWords, of the positioning of AdWords and the position of Play Store. And you get information more precise. it's also a topic I don't like. I don't talk that much. I don't want to go into it that much. Even I haven't put this in production and use it really well. But yeah, AdWords, AdMob, I'm not really comfortable in talking with it. But if you would like to know more, there are online good collabs. We can go through all these functionalities. Even the official Firebase website has all the information you need. And this is Firebase. Thank you. I did an app to showcase this product. I don't have that much time. But yeah, if you would like to know more about the group, Google Developers Group, just go to this website and that's all. Nevertheless, please come more to these kind of events, okay? Don't feel shy in coming and going to other events. The community really needs you to, and we need communities to grow and prosper in Lisbon so that we can interchange and talk more about topics that we are afraid to talk with someone else, okay? So, thank you so much for listening to me to the end. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I'll help out with any way I can. Cool? Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
Do you know if Firebase Crash is like a copy of Fabric?
It's becoming more and more.
Do they have the ability to, or do we have in Firebase Crash the ability to send our custom logs
Custom logs?
from the app?
Yes, we can send just like an event, another event.
No, I'm saying when you have a crash in Crashlytics or Fabric, if you want to, you can send the logs and analyze all the things that the user did. You have to do it in your app, like user entered page X and click on button X. And on Crashlytics you can do it, but I don't know if in Firebase you.
No, you need to develop by yourself. The user entered this screen, then it crashed, and you cannot do it still to crash analytics. Okay?
In terms of pricing, have you an idea of the cost of these, especially with also on the growth side, the FBXing and invites, and those things are also paid?
There was a lot of people were arguing about that because beforehand there were reports of people spending all of a sudden 300 euros for their Firebase. So they created a nicer pricing calculator. I'm trying to open it again. And you can use it quite easily. Maybe you want to run again. We have it's just firebase.google.com/pricing, and you have a really nice calculator where you can see how much it will cost you if you use a certain quantity of this functionality. Okay. But is it? So, for example, yeah, it's free. You were asking about
The invites.
invites. That's free. It's not here. It's free.
Okay.
How about the storage? For
Storage.
example,
So you have this kind of 3 plans, okay? Spark, Flame, and Blaze. People were having problems with this one, okay? So if you go down here, storage, maximum $25 a month, okay? But of course this is just storage, but if you increase the transference and operations upload and download, But yeah, I just want to tell you there's a nice.
For example, they don't give a platform for startups.
That I know of, they only give vouchers for Google Cloud Platform, not for Firebase. Okay.
Because I'm considering using Firebase in my projects, but for example, for registering a 360 video of 1 or 2 minutes, it will cost 200 megabytes.
Okay. We can stop later after the
So-
session.
Yeah, this is not part of the Google Cloud Platform.
This is focused. It's a framework for mobile development. Okay, with more tools, web and things, but it's focused on mobile. Yes, you have Google Cloud Platform storage and all of those. You can use that. Okay, this is really an easier way to develop apps and apply functionalities. Okay. Any more questions?
Well, the real-time database, how does it relate to Couchbase?
Well, I never did a comparison. I know some benchmark warehouse. Like how
It's also JSON.
yeah, it's just one. But no one knows. Google doesn't tell what's behind the real time. And we don't know what it is. If you really need to know, and you need to have it yourself. There are other offers. This is really the introduction, first step to the mobile development environment. Okay. Any more questions? Yeah.
So I just saw that it's like really convenient, super easy to get that data in. How easy is to get data out? Like data out as lockout of the vendor.
Well, that's really an excellent question. With the database, real-time database is just an export, okay? But if you want to get analytics, information analytics, if you want to get out, you need to contact Firebase to get that out, okay? Once again, it's a matter of easier way in and bootstrap your apps and functionalities. But if you are worried with that, maybe you need to choose another platform, okay?
So even if you want to process your own data there, because probably you want to do some machine learning stuff with it.
Yeah, as I said, I wanted to skip that because you can send it to, you center your information mobile through Firebase, and then you can proxy it to BigQuery. Okay, you can proxy it to Google Prediction API. You can make all those connections, and even there was one guy who wanted to create a dynamic content website based on their of user preferences. Okay, with Firebase you can do that. You can simply you have a web page with this is kind of A/B testing, but with preferences of the analytics of the movement of the person, you can adapt it, the website, the content, immediately to that app, to that person, using Firebase. Okay. Any more questions? Yeah.
How do you use the test file? You need to upload an APK every time you want to use it? Or does it have an API to integrate?
No, they don't have an API that I know, unless they publish it yesterday. But you need to upload the tests, the APK with the tests.
Manually.
Manually.
So no continuous integration?
Not yet.
And you can run also monkey tests. It's not
Yes.
just for instrumental.
Yeah, it's not the instrumental. Even the example I showed you, a lot of pictures. It was the monkey test running the app.
Okay.
Last time I checked, you didn't have Google. You didn't have. Where devices on the test lab? Just handheld devices. Do you know if or when will where devices be available to test it?
I really don't like to be I don't want this talk to be a pitchy sales.
No, just
I don't know about that. I don't have that information. If we talk of the records, I can tell you main problems with this platform, main advantages. But ever since before Google acquired Firebase, I was in love with it, and I keep on my eye because for me, when when I get to the weekend and I want to build something, I use Firebase. The bootstrap for building something is amazing, and that's why I'm so. But it's still always evolving with new functionalities, and I bet in the future we will have continuous integration, we will have more devices, so it's a matter of working before. Very good. So I will stop from now because I see some sleepy faces. But if you want to talk more about this, if you have more questions, talk with me, write me, whatever, give me a listen. But most important, just come to these meetings and let's exchange more knowledge. Okay? Thank you so much for staying so late. And yeah, cheers, mate.